This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
You all ready for this? Dun 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 dun. No.
Y'all, just stop. This is a sham.
Sorry. Excuse me.
Welcome to DBL. Lindsey Granger, everybody.
Thank you.
I wanted to put you on the spot while you're getting.
I know you guys saw me getting scrambling, and immediately the camera cuts over here. Like, who does that?
I love it. Happy Friday, everybody. We got to get right to it because we have some important news.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
A concert I waited 2 years to attend. It didn't go as planned. On Wednesday, my wife Jordan and I went to the Justin Bieber concert here in Denver, and the tickets are from his 2020 tour, which was postponed because of the pandemic. For the first 30 minutes, this is my videos.
Whoa.
This is his song Yummy.
You're in a
the
great
stage is all lit up. It's beautiful, having a great time. Right? Look, and this is after there was a power outage. All the stage lost its lights.
Stop it.
No background, anything, no big screen to see anything. So he kind of just walked around a little bit, and the production value really dropped. I gotta say, listen, Biebs, I love you, buddy. I love you. I still love you, but I had to make a Sophie's choice. My wife, we listened to a couple more songs, and she's like, I'm over it. Let's get out of here. It was our anniversary. And I was like, listen, this is a big decision in my life. So I stayed. I stayed at the concert. No, I left. I left with my wife. We left a little bit early, but we had such a good time. We went to Cherry Cricket and got drunk and ate hamburgers after. It was a great night.
Why don't you send him a tweet? Maybe he'll be like, Jeff, come by the house. I'm sorry about that.
I don't want to make him feel bad. It really was. But here's what it made me think of. It made me think of this show, right? Biebs is fantastic, the production is fantastic, and at the end of the concert, everyone's like, I love Biebs. If we don't have our lights right, our sound right, our playback right, our camera guy right, our script right, the show's not the same.
Yeah.
It takes everybody involved, even at a Bieber concert, to put on a good production, and that's what I really like to appreciate here at the show.
Well said.
We really have a great production team here.
Well said. We love you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Making lemonade out of lemons. I love that.
Definitely. And you know what else I appreciate? I wanted to do this because I recorded this too. He did address the crowd, and he kind of turned lemons into lemonade. Let's listen.
You know, we can't really control much. You know, tonight, the power cutting out. Obviously, you guys know, most of you probably know or seen the news about my wife. I'm not sure if you guys seen, but she's okay.
And he went on to say, listen, there's something bigger going on. Wow. There's a war going on. And he goes, I'm glad we're all here in the same room, laughing, smiling. We need to appreciate that and appreciate where we're at.
Bieber turned into like Buddha.
But what a great sentiment,
Beautiful.
right? Bad things happen. You just got to roll with the punches. So, Biebs, still got you right here, buddy. Still got you right here.
Inspiring Big Jeff.
What do you guys think about that for Biebs?
Man, you've always walked the walk. Like what you say, you've lived, and I really appreciate that about you. And I feel like last night is such an example of what we're all going to experience to some extent in our life. Something you're looking forward to doesn't go right. The oven doesn't turn on, so there's no turkey for Thanksgiving. It's like, what are we going to do? We don't have a turkey. So are we going to throw things? Are we going to yell? Are we going to blame? Which is fine, which is probably right in some situations. Or are we going to laugh about it and head on up to Chick-fil-A, get 100 burgers and laugh about it and have something different? And that's what you guys did. You guys were like, look, this concert, we did it. It was cool. Let's go get some burgers, have some drinks with my wife, and talk about our family and think about our sons and keep it moving. And it's like, it's all about how you react to adversity, man. And I really appreciate that. It's good that you had fun.
Yeah, I love that. Sometimes I have like a weird temper about things like the oven not turning on. Yeah. So I let it ruin a day completely and sabotage. And so for my favorite artist to be here and the lights to go so dim, I would be really frustrated, but you handled it like a G. So.
I did. Yeah, I did.
I want to know what Lindsey would have done.
I don't know. I would have reached out to the artist. I would have found their publicist and been like, hey, honestly, this is really a bad situation. I was waiting 2 years, and I'm sure I would end up at the artist's house. But
Biebs, you're always welcome.
For everybody.
You're always welcome, buddy. All right, let's move on. Enough with the Biebs. You have one friend who always looks good. Al Jackson. Apparently, actress Leah Remini does, and she called her out on TikTok. Let's have a look.
So Jen asked me to meet her by the pool, right? Okay, here's me. Here's me, normal. Look at this one. Head wrap, jewelry. Can you be ugly once? Just be normal once. Do I have to?
So I don't know why I'm going to you, Tori, but does this relate to you? It sounds like something that you would do.
Totally. First of all, if my career ever went in any direction like Leah Remini, I would be so honored. I find her a great actress and activist, and she saw me do stand-up once, and she told me to never give up.
Oh, I thought she said never do it again. What a weird story you have.
No,
Yeah.
I love Leah, and I think I totally agree with this. Whenever I walk in here in the morning, I'm early because I do the open, and I always come in at like, I'm a 10. I'm an 11 or a 10. Like, I look amazing. And then like Lindsay or Erica will walk in and I'm like, I'm a 9, I'm an 8, I'm a 7, I'm a 6, I'm a 5, I'm a 4. But it really is, I learned that the difference between jealousy and envy, and I think I told you this, jealousy is wanting what the other person wants and also not wanting them to have it. Envy is being so happy that my friends are gorgeous and also wanting to be that pretty. So I really work on the difference between trying to take it away from someone, which is jealousy, and envy.
I know we're having fun with this, but I think it's different for men and women.
Oh,
like
yeah.
in terms of having like a super attractive friend. Like when I first moved to Miami, my girl makes fun of me all the time. My old roommate Greg was just an incredibly good-looking guy, and we would be out, and this is pre like Bumble and swiping and stuff. Women would just come up and be like, I never do this, and like I was like just looking like,
it's like Brandon London.
How do you yeah, Brandon, our old co-host, just a stunningly good-looking guy. So like, but men are just like, oh, I want to hang with him because anybody that he's not with they'll holler at me. I'll be sad.
I'd be like, okay, that's a good plan too.
But unfortunately, because of the competition, I feel like women are pitted against each other early in life, so like maybe you guys don't have that, but Lindsay, you speak on it.
Well, first of all, I think Tori's beautiful.
Thank you.
Always have.
I love you. Yes.
But I'm in a weird situation where my best friend is a fashion editor and has been for my whole life since we graduated college, and so she always not only has the best top tier outfit on, she literally has people who do her makeup. Like she just did the Kardashian shoot that we talked about on the show the other day, and so she constantly is dressed to the nines and just always put together. Whenever I go somewhere with her or go to New York, I'm like, I just was in a sweatsuit kind of day, and I cannot. Like, I just sometimes just bow out, and I love her, and I love that that's her lane, but sometimes it's just like, I know that I'm better in like a ponytail, slick back, and
like I'm like you.
But sometimes people like that.
But also
no, I do, but I know I don't want to do all that.
Right.
Today.
And we know, like when we go out with Sam, for instance, our other co-host, she is just, you can't not stare at her when she walks in a room, and she knows how to dress, and I'm like, hey everyone, when I go in behind her. So they're like, hey, are you from DBL? And they're talking to Sam. They're not talking to me. And that's okay, because I'd rather be in a sweatsuit.
Also, like, I like to kind of look like a little ridiculous, like sweatsuits, almost slippers sometimes. And I noticed that as I do a job like this, and by no means am I saying famous or anything, people notice you, and it's not appropriate. Like one time I was in King Super and accidentally knocked down the waters, and somebody said,
with your
I know you.
On?
I looked not slippers, but
you looked
very close. I looked a mess, and somebody's like, I know you, the girl from DBL. And I'm like, this is so terrible. And then like a life lesson, I'm just gonna go to the grocery store in my work clothes and then head home.
Yeah, she's looking like, did you get locked out of your house? Why are you dressed like that?
The guy I kept getting beers from at the Bieber concert, so I was getting a lot because the lights were out and stuff. And he's like, man, I love the show. You guys do a great job. But I kind of felt bad because it was like my third beer. And I'm like, hey, buddy. And he's like, hey, I love the show. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, I better go to a different beer guy.
I'm just handing
next thing you see.
Fans.
One of the people.
You get that moment where you're like, oh, all right. So will comedian Amy Schumer censor her jokes for Hollywood's biggest night? Amy will take the Oscar stage with fellow hosts Wanda Sykes and Regina Hall next week. And during an interview, a recent interview, I should say, Amy said she's not planning on blasting celebs as much as her previous hosts. And went on to say, for women, there's definitely a double standard. We're supposed to be nice. Amy says she's still trying to figure out how much she can push the envelope, saying she even pitched the producers a few ideas a month ago, and they were met with deafening silence. I know the feeling, Amy.
I know the feeling too. This is a totally true thing. Now, I did stand up, and I liked to be push the envelope a little bit and be dirty and be a little blue, which just means a little racy, right? I also like to look really physically ugly on stage. I thought that was like do some funny physical things. And so many people were like, if you just stood and looked pretty, it'd be way better. But I didn't want to just stand there and look pretty. I wanted to be in snorkel flippers and show you how like ugly that was. And I always get like, I think you'd get more representation if you just looked prettier and weren't so blue. And you just won't hear that with like a dude.
Don't you think that's just bad advice?
But
no one would say that to a dude.
But I don't know.
No one.
Did Amy come up speaking like that? I thought she was a little bit.
I thought she was absolutely
blue. So was Ali Wong. She speaks like that as well, like very pushing the envelope. So I mean, is that
She's gotten flack from it, though.
But who does it? That's my kind of pushback. We want to put this on gender and all the other things, but I feel the same way Amy does. I can't even talk the way I want to talk on this show, not because of our producers, but because of society, right? You'll get pushback even if I'm not trying to be derogatory in any sort of way. You have to watch what you say. So I don't agree with the man versus woman thing. There might be something there, but in this particular instance, and Al, I don't know, I want to hear from you. Do you feel like you got to censor yourself while you're doing comedy, while you're sitting on this panel in some sort of way?
Yeah, absolutely. They caught David Spade coming out of LAX a couple months ago, and he said the same thing. I mean, with comedy, because, and I spoke on it earlier this week, it's the only art form that you can quote somebody out of context, and then that can get traction, and they'll be like, does Jeff want to kill his kids? Like, that'll be a headline. There's nothing about like he was doing a comedy act. And so comics have to really be careful of that, because once momentum builds, and we've seen this with people, some people deserve to be canceled or whatever word you want to use, but sometimes we've seen things build up with people that haven't done anything, but like once it's at this place, you can't tamp it down a little bit, and I think that's what every comic is scared of. We saw that with Rebel Wilson. Lindsay, when she was telling jokes, didn't you feel like the crowd wasn't with her?
And for this time, I don't think it's just, I agree with you that it's men too, because Steve Harvey just talked about this in a recent interview. He's like, if I want to do TV and I want to work with NBC and all these other outlets, I'm not doing any more stand-up just because the risk is not worth the reward.
But both can be true. I think both can true. Right now, people are worried about what they say, but I do think it is harder as a stand-up who's been a woman
I'd agree with that.
to be as blue and as dirty as the dude who comes up after me. It is.
Tori, a little less talking, a little more smiling down there.
Screw you.
See what I mean? Coming up on DBL, Real Housewives star Heather Dubrow gets matching tattoos with her kids. Is this a cool mom thing to do? And will there be a Family Matters reunion? Erica is breaking it down in her weekly segment, What Erica's Watching. Hey, I know that guy.
Closed captioning provided by
Okay, you guys watch this. Ready?
WEW. Oh my God, do you see this? It's easier than
Film
what
so you
Erica's
get the
watching
whole
DBL,
table.
whatever
Okay,
it is
ready?
now.
Do you like What Erica's Watching or What Erica's Watching?
Is it good?
Wait,
is
hold
it
on.
working?
What is? Hold on.
Oh, this is.
I like that What Erica's Watching is not only TV shows.
But
It's
What Erica's
anything
Watching,
she's watching.
or-
There's a problem with the way it's phrased.
Yeah.
What Erica's watching, or what's Erica watching?
Yeah.
What's Erica watching is like rolls off the tongue better.
But it sounds like What Erica's Watching?
Right, you like what you both like the same. What's Erica watching?
Either way, it would be WEW for
Watch
the
this.
hashtag.
That's our whole point. That's our whole point.
To bring it back to my
Lindsay
point.
wants to get a
That's
hashtag
good, I
going.
think it's a good hashtag because people like easy.
What are you doing?
I could do I worked on my stairwell. Oh, I'll go meet you downstairs.
In a clear table, a see-through table, it doesn't work.
Tori, I heard you say stand up like it was
I got Ira to laugh. Ira doesn't laugh about much.
That's a good one.
And look, let me tell you something really funny. The other day I told Colin I think I'm hilarious. He's like, you're funny, whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm like Bernie Mac level funny. Oh, and he said, are you freaking kidding me? Wait, he laughed harder about the fact that I thought I was as funny as Bernie Mac.
Wow.
than the fact that I actually said that I was.
You just put on some big shoes right there. Wow.
And he was like hysterical for like an hour. Like,
Do you understand what would happen if Chris Rock said that?
Yeah.
Like, people would burn his house down.
okay, maybe I went a little far. I'm not Bernie Mac level.
A little?
Meanwhile, I love that Lindsay's like talking about this adorable picture of herself is on our.
Call it what it is. A terrible, ridiculous picture.
Oh, this is her high school self.
My mom called me and said, I cannot stop laughing. I literally logged on YouTube and the first thing that came up is Lindsay with hair covering half her face.
That's Lindsay. How old were you?
That's cute. You're cute.
I know, but look, I can't see. Like, that's how I used to walk around school.
Take everyone in this room's picture, like from grammar school, and be like, hey, how cute are you?
And then the caption is
your mom's hair.
So 50 Cent is on a mission to uncancel Monique, and the Winslows reunited, but a family matter still needs to be addressed. Plus, black colleges have never looked so good. In this week's What Erica's Watching. Although he's not Slim Shady, 50 Cent's shade keeps on getting thicker and thicker. His latest celebrity beef includes Oprah and Tyler Perry. Now he's defending Oscar winner Monique, who recently broke her silence about being blacklisted. Now Monique feels like she deserves an apology, but 50 says he's going to put her back on the map regardless. Now 50 is finally using his power for good. However, bullying an apology out of Tyler and Oprah would likely require a magic stick. Just saying. So next, some of the cast of Family Matters got together for a photo shoot. But don't go getting too excited, because it seems that there's some family business that needs to be addressed before there can be an official reunion. Jo Marie Payton, aka Mama Winslow, says she was very hurt when her youngest TV daughter was written off the show, and that she won't be a part of anything official unless all of the Winslows are present, including Judy.
Hi guys. Oh, howdy doody, Judy.
You know, the girl that went up to her room and never came back down. Now, although Steve Urkel is not a Winslow, there would be no hit show without him. So let's focus on getting Jaleel White to sign on first, shall we? And the iconic fashion brand Polo by Ralph Lauren launched a new preppy line featuring two of the most prestigious historically black colleges, Morehouse and Spelman. Ralph Lauren says that American style would be incomplete without representation like this. We know. This partnership also includes $2 million worth of HBCU scholarships. Now, I want to go back to school shopping. Can you do that if you're not a student? Okay, I'm gonna do it anyway. So share with me anything that catches your eye by using the hashtag DBLEricaWatch. We'll be right back.
Attention.
Ukraine says it needs all the help it can get to fight against Russia, including more people. Ukraine's foreign minister posted a tweet with more than 45,000 likes that he also wants foreigners to join the fight, with some Americans responding that they're interested. So let's verify. Can Americans legally join Ukraine's International Legion of Territorial Defense? Our sources are the U.S. State Department, the Embassy of Ukraine in the United States, Amnesty International, and David Mallet, an associate professor at American University. So far, local media reports 20,000 soldiers from around the world have joined. The U.S. State Department says it's not illegal under U.S. law for people to go abroad and enlist in a foreign army, so long as you're not fighting against the U.S. The Ukraine embassy says if you're selected, you'll need to supply all of your own equipment, like body armor, uniforms, and medical supplies. The only thing you can't bring is your own weapon. Then there's what happens once you're there. Mallet says historically, local commanders welcome the expertise and training of experienced fighters, but inexperienced soldiers have a 1 in 3 casualty rate. Amnesty International warns Americans who fight for other nations can be arrested on U.S. soil for war crimes or other incidents that happen on the battlefield. So it's true. Americans can legally join Ukraine's International Legion of Territorial Defense. However, a senior U.S. defense official said on March 11th that Americans should not travel to Ukraine under any circumstances, and instead recommends donating time or money to relief organizations. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Welcome back. So some stories that are making the rounds, okay? Have us asking, are these real cool stories for moms? First up, we're going to start with Heather Dubrow. Yesterday, she posted a series of photos to Instagram showing Heather getting matching tattoos with their 18-year-old twins. The three got an exclamation point with 2 dots on their middle finger. What are we thinking about this?
Love it.
Yeah, I like that too.
I
think that's really cool.
But first of all, I don't think it's an exclamation point with 2 dots.
Yeah,
I think it means something else.
I think it's Morse code, long dash dot dot. It might mean something in Morse code.
Yeah, I think it means something else.
I just feel like at 18, it's probably a bad decision for them. They're going to say they want it because their mom said so, but like, do you really want that tattoo? Does anybody really want the tattoo?
Thing. I like it.
At 18, you're supposed to make bad decisions. That's the age you're supposed to.
I'm probably not going to be like, hey, Kinsley, let's do this.
But
I'm not going to suggest it. If she suggested to me, maybe I would consider, but it has to be like inappropriate for me as a grown woman.
That's very small.
Yeah, that one's small enough that I don't hate it, but I probably wouldn't participate.
By the way, I am getting information that's a D in Morse code, probably for Dubrow or Dubrow.
It's not an exclamation point with 2 dots?
Yeah, I really, really mean it. I love you. All right, next, a mom in Las Vegas is defending her decision to start saving for her daughter's nose job at age 12 and allowing her to get the procedure at age 14. We just talked about one of these stories the other day. The girl got the nose job after she was bullied in 6th grade. It cost nearly $30,000 and took her mom, Lauren, 2 years to save up for it. Her mom is a life coach who says she's glad she didn't listen to the criticism. She says now her daughter wears little to no makeup and has better grades in school and has noticed a huge difference in her confidence.
Hate this. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be flat out. It's just like some people grow into whatever is considered weird as a kid. Like I was a little chubby. Like things just get weird. And it's part of being a good parent to like not allow your kid to get bullied and probably teach them how to stand up to bullies and make sure that you're at the school, making sure that doesn't happen. But changing the appearance and telling them that's how you combat bullying is to me really problematic.
Although I do know a lot of girls, I personally, I don't know where I grew up, where they had a really... They hated, like one of my best friends hated a hook part of her nose, hated it. And although I completely agree, 14 is, or 13, way too young. Like it should be once they stop growing, the bones. But she knew from day one, I'm going to get this done. So to have the support of her family would have been nice. I just think this should have been done later.
I mean, it's tough because I want to just, just say, I completely agree with you. You argue with the bullies, but for somebody that has put kids through school, who has taught middle school for years,
it can be hard.
And seen just from a distance what certain kids deal with.
Yeah, it can be
for no reason.
Yeah, right.
It's almost like torture. Like slow daily torture. And I think we can sit here and be like, oh, don't do it or do it. But just to have to live that life every day, to just know you're going to go to school and you see those girls and they're coming for you it could break you.
Every day you're ready to
and
not
if getting a nose job relieves some of that,
yeah, I know.
I get it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do it.
At 14?
But
I know. I agree. But
we
it's just so
specifically
hard.
pointed out that her mom's a life coach. And is this a life coach advice to change your appearance instead of dealing with it, what life throws your way, and good comes from the bad things that you experience in life? Isn't that more of life coach advice to say, hey, let's just settle for surgery?
That's one advice, but also Al's saying to protect the daughter as a life coach, perhaps you get the thing done that is going to save her from ongoing complete anxiety and torture.
But that's not life coach. That's not, to me, that's not the answer to a life coach. I would fire my life coach if they're like, hey man, I'm not feeling good. Well, you should start drinking more. Oh, okay.
Al has been in schools, and I respect and appreciate that you work in school and you have older kids than I do. But to me, I'm just thinking about what I would do in that situation, and I feel like I'm just like a mom that's like people don't do stuff to me, certain things, because I don't allow, the respect boundaries have to be a certain place. And so I feel like I'm going to do everything to protect my kid. And so it's just like, and everybody's not wired like that for sure, but that's why I said it's not going to work for me and my kid, because we're going to go in there, you're going to be respected.
Gorgeous, like your kid, something's wrong with your child.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
No, that's not, it's not even about the look, it's about just my fierce protection of my daughter. I can already, in that mode, and she's like an infant, it's not happening.
I know we have to go, but I'll say this, I know people that are not well today because of the bullying they took in high school. Today, as we sit in the studio.
I hear that.
So and people I'm close with. So it's very hard because sometimes kids latch on like the 5th grade and it goes on through senior year.
Yeah, but I don't know if surgery's the answer either, especially at 14. 18, make up your own mind. All right, wrap it up. We'll be back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Some social media users have claimed Ukraine is working on biological weapons near Russian borders in labs funded by the United States. Most notably, a spokeswoman for Russia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs alleged on March 8th that Ukraine has been concealing traces of a military biological program supported by funding from the U.S. Department of Defense. A Verify viewer texted the team with questions about these claims. So let's verify. Is the United States funding biological weapons labs in Ukraine? Our sources are the U.S. Department of Defense, Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, and European Union spokesperson Peter Stano. During a press conference on March 9th, Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby responded to questions about biological weapons labs in Ukraine.
We are not developing biological or chemical weapons inside Ukraine. It's not happening.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki also said Russia's claims are false. In another tweet, she added, quote, "The United States is in full compliance with its obligations under the Chemical Weapons Convention and the Biological Weapons Convention, and does not develop or possess such weapons anywhere," unquote. The Biological Weapons Convention is a United Nations treaty. It effectively prohibits the development, production, acquisition, transfer, stockpiling, and use of biological and toxin weapons. As members of the UN, both the US and Ukraine must abide by this treaty. Peter Stano, a spokesperson for the European Union, says there's no evidence that there are biological weapons laboratories anywhere in Ukraine. In a statement to Verify, he said, quote, "We are not aware of any programs in Ukrainian laboratories that are not in line with the Biological Weapons Convention," unquote. So we can verify, no, the United States is not funding biological weapons labs in Ukraine. So where could this claim be coming from? One source might be the Biological Threat Reduction Program. Since 2005, the U.S. has invested $200 million in Ukraine through the Biological Threat Reduction Program, which has helped improve Ukraine's biological safety, security, and surveillance for both human and animal health. These public health laboratories are run by Ukraine's government and don't make weapons. With your Verify, I'm Ariane Till.
Even if you didn't know what it was, you've likely seen the colorful images from India's most joyous and vivid festival, Holi. People across India have celebrated it for centuries. Its roots lie in Hindu legend, with the first mentions of the festival dating back to a 4th century poem. Also known as the Festival of Colors, Holi represents the beginning of spring and good triumphing over evil. It's also a day of forgiveness. The night before the festival, large bonfires are lit, signifying the burning of evil spirits. On the day of Holi, brightly colored powder is thrown into the air, covering people, streets, and buildings. Water balloons filled with colored water are also thrown from rooftops. Every color has a meaning. Red, for example, symbolizes fertility and love. Green symbolizes new beginnings. At the end of the day, families gather for festive meals, and sweets are shared among neighbors and friends. Holi typically takes place in March, but the exact date depends on the moon and the Hindu calendar. And that's connecting the dots. For 9 News Mornings, I'm Alexandra Lewis.
Welcome back. We only have like 10 seconds. How's everybody's brackets doing? You fill them out? Busted?
Akron.
Yeah.
I don't even know, like...
You didn't fill out a bracket?
When you guys are talking about this, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't understand at all.
Wow. Well,
You guys are, like,
everybody who
naming
knows what I'm talking about,
I don't know what you're
have fun
talking
watching
about.
the games. It's March Madness. It's getting crazy.
And last night was phenomenal game.
You said something about Sweet
Phenomenal.
16. I'm like, birthday parties?
That will happen after this weekend.
St. Mary's, great.
St. Pete's? The Saints took over.
The Saints.
You were betting the Saints?
And it was St. Patrick's Day.
Where are these places located?
In the country.
In the United
Oh, you don't even know.
In the United States.
She doesn't even know.
All right, guys. We'll see you Monday. Have a good weekend.
Bye, guys.